Welcome back to my channel, A Fairy Tale Mind in the Real World. My name is Raina, and today we're going to be looking at my TBR for the NEWTs reading challenge for the month of August. So I don't know if you guys have seen my previous video, my TBR for owls. Basically what the owls and NEWTs challenges are kind of Harry Potter themed, based off of Harry Potter world. Reading challenges, one for the month of March and then one in the month of August, and you are supposed to be choosing a profession that you want to pursue. So what you do is you take your owls at the beginning of the year, and that's a little easier. You just have to basically read one book per subject, and however many subjects you pass determines, you know, how good of a grade you get overall. So it's not like, you know, you have to read like, you know, 5 books or anything per subject. You just read 1 book per subject, and then if you want to get an outstanding, you can read more. In my owls, the profession that I want only required 5, I believe. Yeah, 5 subjects to be passed, so I wanted an outstanding, so I added 4 more to my list just because I could. The NEWTs is a little bit different in that you have specific subjects you have to pass, and you have to get a certain grade in each of them. So for each subject, you can get an acceptable, which is the lowest, exceptional, which is second, or outstanding, which is the highest. So you basically just figure out which subjects will meet the criteria for the profession you want to follow, and then you need to get the grade A, E, or O, depending on what it says on. There's a little pamphlet that like has details about what your profession is and what you need to do in order to get into that profession. So I have chosen librarian, and for mine I have ancient runes, which I need an outstanding in, defense against the dark arts, in which I need an exceptional, and history of magic, in which I also need an exceptional. Now personally, because it's only adding 2 more books and I love reading and I'm also an overachiever, I'm going to be shooting for outstanding in every category, which, I mean, I'm not going to object to reading 9 books, so I think I can do it without an issue. We'll see. I apologize, Peony is being just like super cute, wanting attention. Say hi to everyone, Peony. Yes, hello. She's so cute. I call her my little cuddle monster because she just likes to cuddle. If I'm laying in bed, she's laying right here, let me tell you what, or right in my lap. It's so cute. Okay, anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this TBR. So for ancient runes, for acceptable, you need to read a book recommended by a friend. I am reading The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton, and this book has been in my TBR for a bit. A friend and I send each other books every month. I think I've mentioned that before, and this is the little book she sent me, and she's mentioned it to me a couple times asking if I read it. I'm finally going to read it. It looks cool. It's about a girl who has is born with wings, and that gives a really cool fantasy twist to it, I feel, and I love that kind of thing, so I'm actually really excited to read this. I had this great idea to put my TBR pile either on the lowest shelf of my bookshelf or in a little box off in the corner here that I don't see. So, you know, out of sight, out of mind. Way to go, Rena. So I'm really excited to read that one. It looks really fun. To get an exceptional in ancient runes, you are supposed to read a book written in past tense, and I have chosen Anne of Green Gables by Anne Montgomery. I watched the videos as a child, like the movie series, but I never actually read the series, and I've been told that's scandalous. And my friend who sent me, who I do that monthly thing with, she also gave me this one. Actually, I think it was June's book of the month, so, or June's pick. So I'm excited to read this book finally. It's I'm anticipating liking it. I like the movies. I've heard nothing but good things about the books, so I'm excited to read those. And for the 3rd book in Ancient Runes, for outstanding, you have to read a book that has been on your TBR for ages, and I chose Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Now, I've had this book for about 4 years or so, maybe more. I bought it from a friend on Facebook who was reselling books for, you know, a fairly decent price, and this looked like a good fantasy series, and I'm always down for fantasy, and I just never got around to reading it. It sat in my little box and got buried, so I'm excited to finally unearth that and read it. Like, yay me, getting all the TBRs done. So now we're going to move on to Defense Against the Dark Arts, and only an E is required, but like I said, I'm going for outstanding in everything, baby. So the first one for acceptable is Black Under the Dust Jacket, and I have chosen Aragon by Christopher Paolini. If you look there, I don't want to unwrap it because it's kind of fragile because it's old, but there is black on the edge there. You can see on the end of the binding, so it just says there has to be black on the dust jacket. And I'm actually kind of glad that I have these. I don't usually get hardcover, I prefer paperback, but I got these when the book, it was a gift from Santa Claus when the book first came out. I got this one and Eldest Under the Christmas Tree, and I was very excited because I love these books, and I actually like the hardcover for these, so I was glad to get the hardcover. But anyway, so that's for that challenge. I'm excited to reread that, and I'll probably finish the rest of the series once I'm done with NEWTs, because I do really enjoy reading it. For the exceptional category in Defense Against the Dark Arts, it is the first book remembered from your TBR, and I chose An Assembly Such as This by Pamela Aiden. I was covering the author's name and I totally spaced it. So this is actually a book that I've been borrowing from a friend for like 1 or 2 years now. Sorry! So I'm excited to finally read this. It is a book from the perspective of Mr. Darcy from Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. I love the movie. I only read the book once. I've actually seen the movie like 500 times, but which, when I say movie, I mean the only good one, which is the one with Colin Firth. It's like 5 hours long, but still. And I love that movie, and when I read the book finally, I read it like 1 or 2 years ago, actually, ironically enough, and I was just like, could picture the movie the whole way through. They did such a good job on that movie with Colin Firth of like, the book is like almost exact. It's amazing, like highly recommend it. They did a great job. The actors are perfect. I love that. It's just, the acting is so good. I love it. Anyways, I'm excited to read this book. I've wanted to for a while, and I should give it back to my friends. So we're gonna read that. And then for the outstanding category, it's supposed to be a book that is written by an English author or set in England, and I have chosen Newt's Emerald by Garth Nix. I love Garth Nix. He's a fantastic author. I love his Abhorsen series. Newt's Emerald is one of the most fun books I've ever read before. I also love the audiobook. The person who narrates it does a great job with different voices, and it's so fun and hilarious. So I have both read and listened to this multiple times. I haven't decided if I'm going to do an audiobook for this or not, since you have to read them in order. I usually read my audiobooks on the way to and from work, and then when I'm making dinner or something, but I don't have a very long drive to work, so I might just end up reading this because I think that would be quicker. So that takes care of Defense Against the Dark Arts. And the last category is History of Magic, and again, exceptional required. I'm doing outstanding. So the first one for acceptable is to read a fantasy, and darn, my favorite genre, oh no! So I picked Her Majesty's Wizard by Christopher Stasheff, and this is a fascinating book. It is so good. It's about a man who is taken basically from his current modern time and dragged into this fantasy world where he has to save this princess from and her world and her land from an evil sorcerer. It is so good. It's witty, it's hilarious, it has a good touch on morals without being like preachy. It's amazing and I love it. So I highly recommend this book. For an exceptional, you need to read a book with a map. And I chose Eldest by Christopher Paolini, and it does have a map. See, every one of them has a map, and it's the same map, but it's a map nonetheless. Oh, and with these challenges, you cannot use the same book for more than one challenge. Like, you can with the Reading Rush, which I'm also participating in, July 22nd to the 28th, but for the Newts and Owls challenges, you have to read a different book for everything, because that's what makes it a challenge. So yeah, because this is for a full month, whereas the Reading Rush is a week-long challenge, and that's a little different. So anyways, Eldest is probably one of my favorite books in the Aragon series. I really like, sorry, the Inheritance series. I just think of it as the Aragon series. I like it because in this book, and this is a bit spoilery, and I'm sorry, but it's been out long enough, and I really like it. So, and there's 2 more books after this anyway. So, in this book, Aragon gets healed of the scar he got from fighting a shade in the first book, at the end of the first book, and he is healed and kind of given like an elfin quality, so that way he can actually fight Galbatorix. So, I really love that scene. I love reading it. I love listening to it, and I am excited to read it again. I'll probably finish the series, like I said, when I'm done with this challenge. And for the third book, it is to reread a favorite, and that is to get outstanding. So I have chosen Chalice by Robin McKinley. This is one of my favorites, and I know I have a couple of favorites on here already. But this book is so good. Like, Robin McKinley is one of my favorite fantasy authors. and this book is no exception. I actually wish this was like a series with like a whole world that I could just like read and like get into, because it's so fascinating to me just what she writes in this little short story. So, you know, wishes for horses. But yeah, so that concludes my TBR for Newts, which again is taking place in the month of August. So if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down below, and I'm going to try to do a reading vlog of this. We'll see if I can figure it out. I'm sure I'll be able to do by then, right? I don't know. We'll see. So thank you so much for dropping by. If you'd hit the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. And thank you so much, and I will see you later. And don't forget to keep reading your fairy tales. Bye.